Hello and welcome to another video from fasimplymk. My name is Mladen and today we're gonna watch a video from the channel called Sheeps of the Shepherd, and the title of the video is Doctor Who Didn't Believe in God Dies and Wakes Up in Hell. Now this is a very interesting title and I'm looking forward to see what actually happened and what this testimony is gonna be like. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Now there are people that talk about a light. There are people that talk about floating above. There are people that talk about a feeling of warmth and love. I didn't feel any of that. I felt none of that. I felt untold terror. Untold terror.
Yeah, before we continue, I watched a couple of these near-death experiences, and they are very similar when it comes to who goes to hell and who goes to heaven. It's exactly described as terror, gnashing of teeth, and incredible fear. As for the heaven part, people describe it as love, light, and all that Jesus is, which is why this sounds so believable, and I think that we can rely on these testimonies of these people.
Because I knew that if I ever went all the way, if I slipped all the way, I would never get back.
The fool said in his heart, there is no God. If this video don't wake you up, I don't know what will. Brothers and sisters, I came across this video and I saw a great need to share it. So please like, subscribe, and share this video that it can reach others. There are many lost souls, too many in fact. But this video is a wake-up call, not only for unbelievers, but for also Christians. The soul that dies without God enters into damnation.
I was ill, I was sick, so they sent a car and they took me home, and I checked into the hospital at Wadley Hospital in Texarkana in February of 1975. I checked in with electrolytes, which means my potassium, my chlorides, and various chemicals were so far out of balance that they had to give me IVs to build me up. Now, at that time in my life, I was an atheist. I was a hardcore atheist and was living for myself. Atheists are self-centered and they live for themselves. And this is where I found myself in 1975 in the hospital. And
isn't it a scary worldview to be an atheist? It is okay to be a skeptic, but to become a cynic, that's a problem. And we should be careful about that. Atheism is just such a wrong way to go, and I think that you should be very careful if you are an atheist. As a former atheist myself, I know how difficult it is to accept God. I know how difficult it is to accept that there is a higher being out there, being that's capable of so much more than we are able to imagine. But there really is a God, and I am a living proof that that's the truth. Not only because my testimony is truth, but because there are so many people's testimonies out there that are also true. We should really start to believe in each other.
they took 3 days and then they operated me. And when they operated me, I found myself in intensive care. I woke up on a respirator, which means they were breathing for me. I couldn't speak, but I had been laying there in a coma, and I had heard these people talk about how sick I was and how I was going to die and how I wouldn't get out of the hospital. And at that time my hair was very, very long because I just wore my hair long. And I heard one guy say, his hair is long, and another guy said, not nearly as long as it's going to be before he gets out of here. And a third voice said, he's not going to get out of here, he's going to die. And after 3 days I could breathe on my own. And I remember my doctor, my surgeon, a guy by the name of Donald Duncan, he told me, he says, Don, if you have anything to get right, if you have anything to get signed, you get it done, because we're not sure. We're not sure how long you have. So I knew, I had a condition that was called acute hemorrhagic necrotic pancreatitis. You don't live with this disease. Now, you can live with pancreatitis. You can even live with acute pancreatitis. But you do not live with acute hemorrhagic necrotic pancreatitis. Duncan had told my two sons that I would be dead before morning. They didn't expect me to survive. And, I'm laying there. Now, I'm a professed atheist. And when I say a professed atheist,
Isn't it a miracle that he is still alive with us today, considering he had such a severe condition? Also, isn't it scary that you're gonna die and you do not know where you're going? Your soul is going to leave your body, so where is it going to end up? And in this guy's case, it was hell. Let's hear about it.
I didn't believe in God. I believed in the power of the universe because I had seen it. I'd seen life and death. As a physician, I dealt with life and death. I believed in something, but don't talk to me about God, and surely don't talk to me about a resurrection or a virgin birth or this type of thing, because I am in research science. PhDs in research science, the majority of them do not believe in God. They do not believe in a supreme being. They believe, they're beginning now to believe that there is order in the universe, because as we get farther and farther along, we see the order. But I was an atheist. Now see, it's very easy to be an atheist when you're successful. You have worked your way from Oklahoma welfare to being one of the most powerful men in your part of the country, one of the most powerful men in the state of Oklahoma in relationship to political. It's very easy to be an atheist when you have done all of that. Man can sit back and say, I don't need God. What is God? But it's very difficult to be an atheist when you're laying on your deathbed, because you begin to think, what if these people are right? See, there'd been one man by the name of Ron Short that has stood between me and the gates of hell. One man that had witnessed to me about the love of Jesus for 5 years before I became ill. One man. And, I would debate him, and I liked him because he did what he said he was going to do. I mean, he was the only one that I saw that professed to be Christian, that lived what he said he was going to do. And so I really respected him. I didn't believe what he said, but I respected him. But when I'm laying on my deathbed and knowing that I'm going to die, guess who I thought about? I thought about, what if Ron is right? What if there is a heaven and a hell? And so the most immediately, the most pressing thought in my mind is, how do I get saved? What is saved? What is saved? How do I get saved? And so I sent them for Ron Short. I wanted him to come down because I wanted him to do what he had to do. I had no idea. How can a man hanging on a tree in Israel 2,000 years ago, what is that to me? But I knew that he had something that I had to have. And that night, see, I had him go for Ron, but Ron wasn't home. Ron was in Alabama. And so I had him go and send for Ron. And that night was the longest night that I've ever had in my entire life, before or since. And that night is, as I would be laying there in bed, as I'm laying there in bed, I would begin to fade away. I would begin to fade away, and as I would fade away, I would begin to go down. Now, it was like darkness. It was so dark. It was like the very darkness just penetrated into your very, very being. And as I left, and I can tell you I left my body because I remember when I came back into my body. I don't know where I was out of my...
See, this is very interesting. All of these atheists are now claiming that they have left their body and are very, very vivid about their memory of leaving their body. So think about how this testimony makes a lot of sense, and how maybe, just maybe, you should give it another thought before you dismiss it.
My body. Now there are people that talk about a light. There are people that talk about floating above. There are people that talk about a feeling of warmth and love. I didn't feel any of that. I felt none of that. I felt untold terror. Untold terror. Because I knew that if I ever went all the way, if I slipped all the way, I would never get back. Now, in my beings of beings, I knew that. And so I fought all night long. They told me later on, I not only pulled the mattress cover off of the mattress, I pulled the mattress up on me because I had to stay. I had to wait. I had to wait till Ron got there. Whatever he had to do, I had to wait. But I would, again, and then I would leave, and I would be going down like a deep, deep, dark terror. Now, my skin began to get cold. Now, it's not like cold when you walk out into the air. It's like bone chilling cold in my lower extremities. And you can feel the coldness begin to come up the legs. And again, I would begin to leave. Now, and I would be in that darkness, and I'd be in that void. And I remember one time entering back in my body, because when I entered my body, it was like, just like that. I felt my body thud. My physical body thud when I entered back in. Now, believe me, that is the most horrifying, terrifying experience that I've ever encountered. And I fought all night long. And the next morning, somewhere 9:30, 10 o'clock, in came Ron.
Unfortunately, this is not the full testimony of this doctor who died, so we're gonna have to cut it short. But what's interesting to me is that if you were in a similar situation, would you also want somebody to come and preach Jesus to you? Would you want Jesus to be there for you? I wonder, when your life is at stake, will you be ready to accept Jesus or not? Because so far it seems that atheists will do anything to hold on to their beliefs, which are so broken, which are so far from the truth of this life. I know how hard it is for an atheist to believe in Jesus, how hard it is to believe that there is something supernatural out there. As an atheist myself, as a former atheist actually, I wasn't convinced that God is real. I wasn't convinced that there is a heaven or hell until I finally had my own revelation, my own testimony, which you can watch in one of the videos before that I made. Thank you for watching this video, hope you had a good time, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao!